Hey class, we're going to go ahead and start part 4 of the math properties of different operations. Okay, we're in properties. It's all about the properties, right? So we just wrapped up identity properties, right? For part 3, we're going to go ahead and move on to part 4, inverse properties. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. All right. Again, this is called inverse properties. All right. Now, we're going to start off, again, just like we did before, draw a line down the middle. We're going to start off with the additive inverse. Additive, remember when I say additive, all it means is adding, right? Additive. Additive inverse. Now, when I say additive inverse, what I'm talking about is the opposite. Okay? Additive inverse means opposite. Okay? Now, examples again. Examples. Now, what we want to see from this is that we're going to have a number. Let's start with the first example. Okay, we're going to have a number like the number 5. Okay? We're starting off with the number 5. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add the inverse to the number 5. Okay, we're going to add the inverse to the number 5. What is the opposite of the number 5? Negative 5, right? So we're going to add negative 5. This right here, negative 5, is the opposite, is the additive inverse. This is the additive inverse of the number 5. And now, when we add these two numbers together, you should get the identity. Should I write ID? Well, let me write the whole word. You should get the identity. Okay? You should get the identity. Okay? This is the opposite, the additive inverse. The additive inverse is the opposite. Negative 5 is the additive inverse. Okay? Now, next example is 1/2. What is the additive inverse or the opposite of 1/2? Negative 1/2, right? So we're going to have negative 1/2 as our additive inverse. Now, 1/2 plus negative 1/2, what should we get? The identity, the additive identity, which is 0, right? We should get 0. Okay, so far we've gotten negative 5 as the opposite or the additive inverse of 5, and we got negative 1/2 as the additive inverse of 1/2. And every time we've added that additive inverse to the original number, to that number right there, we got the identity, okay? Now let's go ahead and go general again with this, using variables, right? Algebraic with this. Here we go, we're going to x, some number x, we don't know what it is, we're going to add the additive inverse of x. What's the additive inverse of x? What's the opposite of x? Negative x, right? Negative whatever that number is, and we should get the identity again. Okay, we should get the identity again. So make sure you have that written down. 3 examples, our 3 examples that we had. There we go. All right, so again, that's additive inverse. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the multiplicative inverse. And it means something different. It's not the same thing. Okay? Multiplicative inverse means, and this one's kind of a word, this is a word we've dealt with before when we did keep, change, flip, right? When we did keep, change, flip, when we divided fractions, keep, change, And we got to remember what flip meant. That R word. It was an R word for flip. Here it is. Reciprocal. Okay, reciprocal is the word. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw arrows to it again, just like we had before. Just like we had before. Now, reciprocal is our word for multiplicative inverse. Now we're going to go through some examples like we did earlier. Example 1. Example 1. We have 9 times. Now, what is the reciprocal of the number 9? We got to remember that 9 is a rational number. And since 9 is a rational number, right, we want to remember that we can flip it, right? Remember, 9 is 9 over 1, and we can turn 9 over 1 into what? 1 over 9, right? We can turn it into 1 over 9. And so 1 over 9 is our reciprocal, okay? Is our reciprocal. Now, what we want to remember, like we said before, we can write 9 as 9 over 1. I'm not going to leave it like that, but you can write that. And remember, we multiply across for multiplying fractions. 9 times 1, what do we get? 9. 1 times 9, we get 9. What's 9 divided by 9? 1, right? 9 divided by 9 is 1. So what we want to understand is that when we multiply 9 times 1 over 9, we are going to get the number 1. And do you remember, what is the number 1? Do you remember what the number 1 is? Number 1 is what? What is number 1? Number 1 is the what? The multiplicative identity, right? This is the identity. This is the identity for multiplication, okay? All right, our next example is 2 over 3. What is the reciprocal of 2 over 3? 3 over 2, right? You just flip them. You just flip them. 3 over 2. This is the reciprocal. 3 over 2 is the reciprocal. Multiply across 2 times 3, we get 6 in the numerator. 3 times 2, we get 6 in the denominator. 6 divided by 6, we're going to get 1. We're going to get the number 1. Okay? Now, our next example, and this is again, getting general again, algebraic with letters and things. A over B. A over B times what? What's the reciprocal of A over B? B over A, right? B over A. Same thing, A times B, B times A. Remember, and this is where it gets a little weird, right? A times B, and this is B times A. But remember, we can rewrite B times A because of the commutative property as A times B. Same thing divided by itself, we're going to get the number 1, which is the identity again. Okay? So I know this was kind of, again, this is new to us, so we're getting used to it. We're getting used to these properties and things like that. But make sure you have that written down. And again, we're gonna start using these more. So it's not gonna be as weird to us because again, we've never seen them before, right? And so here are our examples. Make sure you have them written down. And again, what we're talking about is the different properties, different math properties of different operations. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.